Welcome to Nest Full of Charm, a home decorating inspiration channel just for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Greetings, vintage lovers. Welcome back to Nest Full of Charm. Today we're stepping back in time to explore the charm and elegance of vintage inspired living room decor. I'm excited to share some tips and tricks to help you infuse your space with timeless beauty. Let's dive into the world of vintage decor. The first step in creating a vintage inspired living room is understanding the style. So, what is a vintage inspired home decor? Vintage inspired home decor is a design aesthetic that draws inspiration from past eras, typically from the early 20th century to mid century decades. It embraces the charm, elegance, and nostalgia of bygone times, incorporating elements such as antique furniture, classic color palettes, elegant fabrics, and unique accessories. This style often involves repurposing thrifted finds, giving new life to old pieces, and creating a warm, timeless ambiance in the home. Vintage inspired decor allows individuals to curate a space that reflects the character and aesthetics of specific historical periods while adding a personal touch through carefully chosen details and accessories. One person's trash is another one's treasures. Thrifting is the best way to discover unique pieces that will add character to your living room. A lot of vintage items can be found at thrift stores. If you take your time and you know exactly what you're looking for, you can find really rare and unique pieces that you can repurpose and add to your collection of vintage finds. Don't be afraid to breathe new life into old furniture. With a little bit of paint, upholstery, and creativity, you can give antique pieces a modern twist and transform your living room with one-of-a-kind furniture. Vintage-inspired decor often embraces a classic color palette. Some timeless color schemes that you can explore would be if you're going for a retro vibe, something like tangerine oranges, teal blues, apple greens. You can also include neutrals like creams, yellows, yellow browns, teal, pale peach. And if you're going for a 70s look, you're looking for like mustard yellow, burnt orange, teal blue again, pistachio green. For a more rustic look, we're thinking about muted greens, browns, and grays. And for a vintage brown look, we're talking about muted brown tones and warm, slightly grayish brown tones. Other classic colors you can use grays, creams, eggshells, teal greens, navy, milk chocolate, smoky blue, you name it. Texture is key to achieving a vintage look. Vintage textiles can be easily found in antique stores, yard sales, and thrift stores, and are usually dated at between 50 to 100 years old. From embroidered linens to lace to velvet, there is a plethora of vintage textiles that you can choose from and incorporate in your home decor. Let there be vintage light. Whether it's a crystal chandelier or a mid-century pendant, lighting can truly define the vintage aesthetic and make a bold and distinctive statement in a space. These fixtures often showcase unique designs, intricate details, and craftsmanship that reflect the aesthetic of a particular time period, such as Art Deco, mid century modern, or even Victorian. Vintage statement lighting can include chandeliers, pendant lights, wall sconces, or floor lamps that serve as focal points in interior design, adding character and nostalgia to a room. These pieces are sought after for their historical significance, artistic value, and ability to evoke a sense of nostalgia or charm. But with a little bit of legwork, you can still find them in some antique and thrift stores. Walls are a canvas for storytelling. You can really have fun here and curate vintage art and wall decor that reflects the style and history of your chosen era. With a little bit of creativity, you can create a gallery that transports your living room back in time. Some quick example of authentic vintage art would be 19th century postcards, pre-war movie posters, and Victorian era cards. Last but certainly not least, you can unleash your creativity with some vintage DIY projects. Vintage DIY projects often involve repurposing or restoring old items to give them new life with a vintage touch. Some examples would be to do vintage suitcase shelves, so repurpose old suitcases into shelves by stacking and mounting them on a wall. And this creates a unique and functional storage solution with a vintage vibe. Another fun project would be to transform old mason jars into pendant lights by wiring them with light fixtures. You can hang them in a cluster or in a row to add a rustic and vintage charm to your space. You can also take old wooden furniture and give it a distressed finished look using sandpaper and paint. This technique can create a shabby chic and farmhouse style vintage look. Other fun projects you can try would be to use vintage maps or prints to decoupage into coasters. You can repurpose an old window frame by adding a mirror to create a vintage inspired wall mirror. I love that idea. You can also turn vintage tea tins into planters by adding soil and small plants. You can create wall art by framing pages from vintage books. And last, you can attach a vintage drawer pulls to a piece of wood or frame and use them to hang and organize your jewelry. And there you have it, a journey through vintage inspired living room decor. I hope these tips inspire you to bring the elegance and nostalgia of the past into your home. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more vintage inspiration, and share your favorite vintage finds in the comments below. Until next time, happy decorating!